Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Jay Liv, and I am the owner of Liv's Health Spa. So I decided to kind of tell my story of why I decided to start a business. So, you want to sit down, get some popcorn, because I ain't gonna make it long, but I mean, it is a fairly long story. Sorry for the sound of the blow dryer, well, not the blow dryer, but the dryer, because I'm washing clothes, because I just came back like Thursday or whatever. So anywho, it was 2020, so like last year, and I was learning how to make, well, I was bored because of course it was COVID, and I had lost my job again because of my vision. And so for some odd reason, I was having issues with either dealing with COVID and the place is shutting down, or dealing with places because I couldn't see to do the job. So I got to a point where I didn't know if I was gonna have actual employment. I didn't know if a place would actually hire me because of my vision, and I didn't know that was going to ever happen. So I kind of became interested in making stuff like skincare products. And so I had an issue with I couldn't find stuff for my own skin. And so I have dry skin. It's super dry. It looks really good now. That's because I got my face oil. And yeah. So couldn't find anything for my skin. Skin was extremely dry, really sensitive. The wind would blow, and legit, my skin would break out, turn red, whatever the case may be. So I kind of just started making stuff. I first kind of started off making stuff for with CBD in it, of course, it's something to learn, I guess. And started off with making stuff with CBD oils and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, if I take the CBD oil out and add this or add that, then it affects the skin this way. And then it was okay, well, I started learning about carrier oils and essential oils, and then I started watching a lot of YouTube, and I slowly bought some carrier oils, and then I started learning about different types of ingredients and different types of just stuff in general, how it works for the skin. And I did a lot of research. Like I said, I have a medical background, so I took a couple biology classes and chemistry classes for my undergrad. So I kind of put that to use. So as time progressed, of course, I was able to find jobs here and there, but they weren't actually stable jobs to actually pay all the bills and things like that. So I was still kind of struggling. And then also I have to be mindful because there's only certain jobs that I can do. So it's I can't heavily rely on my vision too much, which is crazy. But when you really can't see, you can't rely on it. You have to rely on everything else but that, because your vision will deceive you, because you'll be thinking something is right there and it ain't, or you think it's far away and you run into it. So yeah, but nevertheless, as time progressed, I did a lot of research. I started playing with stuff. I started learning how to make butters, and then I started learning how to make oils, and then I started learning how to play with clay, and I started learning what preservatives go good with sensitive skin, what oils go good with sensitive skin, how to make lotions, how to make soaps, how to make salt baths, how to make just a whole bunch of stuff. So I learned there's roughly about 15 to 20 things I could make like that. Of course, I keep a recipe and stuff like that, but I formulated them myself and they actually turned out really good. So I was like, oh, shooty hoops, they good. So I start giving it to neighbors. I start giving them to my friends and asking like, hey, try this, let me know what it feel like to your skin and how it works and things like that. And so, oh, my dryer stopped. And so kept doing that, and it turned out really good. So I was like, well, maybe, this would be a good source of income. I think I did that from like last year. I started in June. So I played and gave people stuff for free up until January. And so I got really, 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 really good at it to the point where like I had memorized the recipes like the back of my hand. I'd be like this and this and this and this. And then I had the thing that was kind of hard to learn was like the gel mask. Very interesting. But I learned how to make them. So I kept on learning new materials. Kept on learning how to formulate. Took a couple formulation classes. I really didn't have anything to do. And then I did get a couple more jobs, and then I had set my mind up. I was like, cool, I think I can, start a business. So I made a business plan first. And then once I made a good business plan, from there to I started looking at the market, looking at my target audience. I started asking questions. Yep, I put that undergrad degree to work. Not saying that everybody who you know what I'm saying, has a business, has a degree, because not everybody does. So that's just me. So I kept, trying, and I was like, okay, cool. I think, I could start a business with this, maybe this may work. And so I was still trying out stuff, giving them to people, testing products out, stuff like that. And one of my neighbors was like, yo, you should really start a business. These are really good. My skin feels moisturized, and, my skin isn't as dry, and I have super sensitive skin, and this product can really work. And then I had a friend that lives all the way in Cali, and she was like, we really need, stuff for people who have sensitive skin, because there's a huge market of individuals who have sensitive skin and can't find stuff. So I was still heavily big on self-care, because I was a health coach. Still I'm a health coach, but we really discussed what self-care was, the understanding of what self-care is, mindfulness. My hair looks crazy, but it's totally in a bun, but it's in a giant bun. It just looks weird because the hair is curly. Yeah, but whatever. What self-care was, mindfulness walks, SMART goals, things like that. That was my job. I am the guru of all of it. And so I set it off to start a business, made a business plan like I said earlier. Still looking for jobs, of course. At one time I had set a date that was okay, I'm gonna start my business. I think it was in July. And then the restaurant shut down. And at the time I was working at a restaurant. So then the restaurant shut down again because of COVID. And so that kind of pushed my plan back. And I'm like, okay, I still got 7 months. Then they didn't open up until February. And then another job that I had, the place kept, people kept getting COVID, and then they kept shutting down. And then that didn't work. So then it got pushed back again. And so while along, of course, I'm getting my licensures, of course, getting an LLC, of course, getting a business banking account, getting all the legal paperwork, sales tax, all that good stuff. While I'm in the process, because a lot of that's free or cheap, 50. It was to become an LLC in Michigan, it was $50. So, and that ain't really bad. That's was actually pretty, pretty good. So got that. Then started looking at how I was gonna sell my products. Start looking at websites, Shopify. So yeah. So I started researching, doing a lot of research, and start asking other business owners like, hey, what's a good platform to use? Start getting all my social media and stuff like that together. Then I had to put it on hold again because I was working 3 jobs. And so I was working Monday, legit, like from Sunday to Sunday. I think like I had Thursday and Friday evenings off, but I was working 7 days a week. And I did that from, I want to say, my birthday, which is in February. So I did that from February up until April. And then April, I got a job, a full-time job. However, they failed to mention that I'll have to be heavily using my eyes. It was data entry, like medical billing. And I didn't go to school for medical billing, nor have any training for medical billing. If you do medical billing, I think you should have some type of certificate or something, because, yeah, you need something, because that ain't for the weak. And so it ain't no, I could jump in and do it. Hell to the no. You need to have some prior knowledge on that. So, of course, that didn't work out. And then, I was like hurting. I was like, God, I don't know what to do. Like, what do I do? So I use every little last cent that I had. Like, everything that I had. And then I opened up. Yeah. So I started it because I didn't have anything else. And I didn't know that I was going to end up getting the job that I have now, and getting the 2 jobs that I had now. I had no clue. I didn't have a clue at all. And so I opened up in September. Well, I got the jobs, but then I opened up in September, and I've been open pretty much so ever since. Like, I knew I wanted to help people. I just didn't know specifically how. So this is only part 1 of my master plan. We'll see. I have phases to it. So this is only part 1. But I'm happy. Like I said in my channel, I talk about self-care, being an entrepreneur who has a disability that comes with its own challenges. Yeah, a lot of them. But I am overcoming them every step of the way. So if you have a dream, you got something that you want to fight for, go do it. Like, go do it. Go fight for it. I was telling the young lady who, when I was at the retreat or at the training, she was like, she made like these, like she crocheted like scarves and stuff like that. And they was like legit, really good. And I was like, yo, you should like, from, instead of doing like, on social media, get one area like Shopify and make a website, and that way all your orders can go from one area and one centralized area, and everybody knows to go to that one area. And you can have, of course, like, a shop on Instagram or Facebook, but it's still, once they shop, it's still going to Shopify. And so it makes it a lot easier. I think that's how it works. At least that's how mine works. It still goes to my website. So like my website, I have my website, and then you see what the pictures on my website. So like, for instance, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, you can, like, the pictures that I have are from like my actual website. So when I update my website, then you'll see the update on my Facebook. Yeah. So nevertheless, I was like, girl, go ahead and do that, make it happen. Like, if I can, and all the challenges and stuff like that I have to overcome, you got 2020, do it. Make your dreams happen, because if you don't, nobody else will. So that's kind of like a giant spiel of how like Liv's Health Spa kind of like, you know, came into now. So my grand opening was September 25th. Yeah, and at first I was like nervous because I was telling my best friend, I was like, I don't know if anybody's gonna like order. I don't know if anybody's gonna support. Like, I will say the people who I thought would support did not. And the people that I didn't have, I wouldn't even thought, like, I wouldn't even thought that they would even cared or even, like, you know, bothered. Like, really showed up. I was like, my first order, like, was, like, my first 3 orders, I would say, was, like, my godmom, my best friend, and my god sister. And, like, all of them have ordered, like, at least twice. So... yeah, so but before that, I forgot to say, before I had my website, like the job that I have currently now, I was telling people like I made butters, and you know, everybody like butters, you know, it keeps your skin, you know, nice and, you know, moisturized, and you look really pretty. Your skin looks really, has an awesome glow and a shimmer and all that good stuff. At least, you know, when you try mine. Your skin is very moisturizing, has a good glow and a good shimmer, and the health of your skin is improved. That's just with my product, but I can't speak for everybody else's. But for Liv's products, they're good. Somebody told me that my hand looks soft as pillows. At first, I didn't know if that was a compliment or not, because I was like, are you trying to say my fingers are fat? But he's like, they look soft. I was like, oh, it's a compliment. Thanks. I didn't know. I was like, oh, trying to say I got 5 fingers, because these boys is long and like long and skinny, but you know, I guess. But yeah. So I was like, oh, it's a compliment. Okay. All right, compliments. Gotta get that together. Right. But yeah, I was pretty happy, you know. But yeah, I had told people that I was selling I was making skincare products. I, you know, had my business cards and stuff like that together, and then I gave them samples. And so I was like, well, I give you a sample. You know what I'm saying? Because samples, you know, give out samples. But make samples small, like one-time samples, so they can, like, you know, try it and that's it. And make something that's cheap as hell. Like, butters are cheap to make. Salts are cheap to make. Like, super cheap. Like, the cheapest thing you can make that's not going to be super costly, that's what you give to people for samples. So the cheapest thing I could make, and I could stretch it, was butters. So I made all the butters that I had, like different flavors, you know, different, not flavors, can't eat it, but different scents, if you will. Different scents that I had, and I just made, you know, samples of them and gave them out to people. And I had my business card, and I was like, hey, you know, if you like it, you know, my store opens up in September. And so I had so many obstacles. I'm not gonna lie, I had so many obstacles before I was able to open that store up. And like, I was like so dedicated. Like, I felt like I had to prove a point to myself that I could actually do it. It's almost kind of like when it was like the last semester for my undergrad, and I was like, I felt like I had to prove a point because, you know, people can be really rude, and like in my brain, like family member had told me that all I would ever be is a Social Security recipient because I was blind. And so I felt like I had to like prove a point, which was good and very unhealthy. Healthy and very unhealthy. Because it was unhealthy because I didn't necessarily like do it for myself. I did it to prove a point. But healthy because, of course, I had the dedication. I had to make goals and stuff like that. But that's here for another date. Not your family may not, you know, your blood family may not be the individuals that always support you and give you that push or hurrah. But like I said, family ain't always blood. So I had that same dedication when I opened the store, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna fight for this. I'm like, this is my dream. This is what I want. I want to be able to help people. I want to solve a problem. And I was like, I used to pray and be like, God, make me an answer. So, to a problem. So I kept fighting and I kept fighting. And so September 25th, I officially opened. And I was really happy. I told everybody who like I knew, like, hey, I opened up, you know, this, that, and the third. And so the ladies who had ordered from me before, were like, oh my gosh, like your products look super nice. Like, you know, I didn't know that, you know, how long you been doing this? And I was like, less than a year. And they were like, man, it looks really, really dope. And I was like, oh, you know, thanks. You know, I try to, you know, do things that's excellent and give good quality and stuff. So I say all this to kind of say, fight for your goals. Fight for every dream that you have. Don't let people tell you that you can't do it because of a disability or because of you didn't have the same opportunities as other people. I feel like God uses people who are kind of like I want to say the lowest person on the pole, but the rejected person. The person who was outcast. Like the person who they felt like, oh, you ain't gonna never be nothing. Like the person that they tossed aside in the trash. Like I feel like he uses those individuals in like a really, really special way because everybody didn't count them out. So fight for your dreams. Fight. Like it'll work if you work it. So I'm in like the beginning stages of owning a business, but I own a business. That's huge. I'm creating generational wealth. I'm out here letting the world know that I'm here. So nobody else will fight for my dreams if I don't fight for them. You know, if I don't do it, who else will? Hopefully you see my story and see my fight. Or you may not see my fight, but at least I'll tell you like the things that I fought and, you know, try to give some type of advice or some type of wisdom so that you don't run into the same issues that I have. And, you know, whatever resources I have, you know, I'll most definitely give them out. I was a little nervous, I will say, to kind of talk about my disability. I'm not going to lie about that. I was like, I laugh because I'm like, man, like before this training, I would not have told anybody. Like, I've dated people and been in relationships and seen people every day and they didn't know that I had a disability. Like, they didn't know to the extent of what it was. They just knew, like, my eyes would move a lot or I would sit up real close to the TV. But they didn't know, like, how bad it was. I'm not going to say how bad, but I'm going to say the full extent and the severity of it. I wouldn't tell nobody. Like, to be quite transparent and honest, I was embarrassed. I felt inadequate. I felt less than. I felt like I was almost cursed. Like, God, why would you make me, of all people, like, can't see? You know, you could have did anything but this. And I would have rather you know that I was a survivor of domestic abuse. That I would have rather you know that I had overcame being sexually assaulted. I would have rather you know those two things instead of knowing that I have a disability. And it's crazy because I know people are like, why would you like want people to know that versus that? Because that's how embarrassed I was of it. I mean, when I talk about that was a heavy burden, it was hard because it made my life harder. Like, and people didn't want to, you know, talk to me or people felt that I made them feel weird. I remember one time I was telling somebody like about my disability and they were like, why do you have to call it a disability? Can't you just say like you don't see that well? I'm like, do you know how bad I can't see? Like, when I went to the doctor was like, honey, we're just going to help you with the little vision that you do have. And like, when I first heard that, I was like, dang. Like, why would a doctor tell you that? But it's true. Very true. And so, like, my feelings was hurt for a little bit, but then I thought about it like, well, you know, I need to be thankful for the little vision or whatever vision I do got, because it could be worse, you know? But I didn't want people to know. I didn't want people to know at all, because people look at you funny. Like, they really do. I remember, like, this lady was like, you don't have a seeing eye dog? And I was like, well, I'm allergic to dogs. So, yeah, it'll help me see, but it would also be dragging my corpse because it would kill me. So, yeah.